Hello, darlings of the internet. In celebration of my master's dissertation being finished and the fact that I got a job, my mom and I decided to celebrate by a quick little weekend trip up to Edinburgh. So up to Edinburgh we trotted, and then we shopped. We book shopped, and by we book shopped I mean I book shopped, and my mom very kindly sat in a chair scrolling through her phone while I did so. So mainly we went to two bookshops. The first one was Topping and Company, one that my aunt had recommended and then Google also recommended. And once I got there, I understood. It was beautiful. It was your Edinburgh bookshop dark academia dream. When you walk in, tall rows of bookcases everywhere. It's like a warren. It's a maze of books, which is the dream. It's got the tall ladders so that staff can help you get books. More importantly, it serves the Beauty and the Beast aesthetic that all baby bookworms have grown to love and then grown into adult bookworms who are thriving out here. There were so many books, so many sections, so many little nooks and crannies that you could browse and sit and think about the books that you wanted. So I have a neat little pile of the books that I got from that bookshop. Starting off strong, I got this little pocket version of Walden by Henry David Thoreau. I had not been too terribly interested in the transcendental writing or anything. I remember in high school in the States, we talked about The Eye in the Woods by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Thoreau was also there. But then when I was doing my master's dissertation, partly on Little Women, I was talking about like the style and how it was kind of like reminiscent of transcendental writing, which is really heavily focused on time spent in nature. And as I get older, the more I understand wanting to flee big, busy, crowded places and just be in nature, especially in this beautiful autumnal season. I figured I could picture myself sipping a cup of tea, sitting under a tree, which I wouldn't do because the sensory experience of like sitting in the cold in wet grass isn't my idea of a good time, but the idea of it is my idea of a good time, you know what I'm saying. So I read a little bit on my way back on the train. Opening, it was funnier than I thought it was gonna be. It was a vibes only purchase. The next book I decided to get was The Whalebone Theatre by Joanna Quinn. I have not read anything by Joanna Quinn. Is it possible this is her debut novel? Possibly, do not know. It's an instant Sunday Times bestseller though. I was looking at a Penguin publishing house Instagram post and it was like, what's your favorite read of the year been? And someone said The Whalebone Theatre and I was like, sold. So I saw it. Did not mean to drop it. Not only is it beautiful, not only does she have sprayed edges, but she's signed. And the quickest way to my heart and my basket is to be signed by the author, even if it's a book that I don't want that much, but I did want this one, so in she went. Should I tell you what it's about? Probably. The summary says, Old English manor house by the sea, check. Crumbling chimney, draping ivy, and library of dusty hardbacks, double check. They knew who they were writing for. I do love it when books and authors lean into the whole book lovers thing because I'm reading the book. The audience has self-selected itself, you know? So I do love when it's kind of just like immerse yourself in a book while feeling the ultimate bookish book atmosphere, vibes, experience. It's everything. It's beautiful. And then there are kids, they're there, and they basically live in this big old crumbling ivy-covered mansion and are like, hey adults, you kind of ignore us and you're having lavish parties. Let's just escape into our imagination in the books that are there. And then a beached whale shows up on the scene, but because it's whalebone, I'm presuming it doesn't end up very well. It doesn't end up very well for the whale. I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry. The next book is genuinely, I love this. I feel like a hot girly with my little Wendy Cope Serious Concerns book in my little back pocket, even though you need a kind of significant back pocket. Have I read any Wendy Cope? Nope, I have not. But Uncarly and I believe Allison Pages as well, has recommended it. And so if they recommend it, it is going in my bag. Or, that sounded like a shoplifter, it is going in my cart, and then it's going in my bag, and then it's coming home with me. Or, alternatively, I'm borrowing it from the library. But I like to underline things, especially books that I think I'm going to enjoy, just so I can go back and see what really resonated with me or what was a good piece of writing. So, that puppy. The next book is by Gabrielle Zevin, The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. I don't know much about this book. Actually, that's a lie. I do know some things about this book. I did start to read it. But anyway, it's by Gabrielle Zevin, who wrote the very famous Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I'd heard rumblings about people also enjoying this book, and it is about a bookstore on an island, and there's a grumpy man, and there's like a kind of romance there. So I was like, yeah, sign me up. B-plot romance is where it's at. And you could automatically tell that it's a Gabrielle Zevin book just by the font and how it's kind of like rainbow. It's very similar to the front of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And while I do think that worked for that cover, I don't think it works as well for this cover. Dude, no. Okay, the final book that I got from Topping & Co., because I'm an addict, I'm a book addict, was Edgar Allan Poe, The Fall of the House of Usher and Other Writings. The only thing I've read by Edgar Allan Poe was in middle school, and it was The Telltale Heart, and being a Baltimore adjacent gal, Baltimore adjacent being like 45 minutes away from Baltimore, I felt like I should probably own something by Edgar Allan Poe and read it. And it was just about Halloween time, so I brought it home with me. Enough said about that, really. Go Ravens. Here's my next thick ol' stack of books. It could have been thicker, but I practiced willpower, believe it or not. The book that is on everybody's lips, and by everybody I mean a lot of people on BookTube and Book Talk who like Gilmore Girls and Practical Magic. I really don't need to say that much about it. The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. Whoever marketed this, head of Zeus, blessings, because you wrote the tagline for fans of Practical Magic and Gilmore Girls. You knew what you were doing, and that's how everybody else talked about it, and I was like, sold. I'm buying this immediately. And it's got a little teacup on the front, and it's about a woman who practices magic through confectionaries and tea. Truly, she got the Book Talk girlies with that one. It's very cute. As you can see, I've already kind of started it. But being the world's worst and most annoying reader, in that I'm a mood reader, and so if I'm really not vibing with it, it gets put down immediately. It's no reflection on the book. It is purely a reflection on my brain and the headspace that I'm currently in. I'm excited to get in a headspace where I'm ready to read this. There's a little bit of heartbreak. There's a little bit of magic, food magic. There's a boy who broke her heart and returned to the town later, and it's definitely giving Hallmark but a reversed Hallmark. It's not the girl going back home from the big city and falling back in love. It is the boy returning to his hometown, finding a girl. We love it. The next Waterstones pick was The People's City in support of the One City Trust, with lots of famous people who are Scottish, like Ian Rankin, Alexandra McCall Smith. We love it. The reason I got this one, besides being kind of like short story collection by a bunch of well-known Scottish authors, is that this one I believe is quite unique to the Edinburgh Waterstones. My mom being Scottish, we would always go over to Scotland, specifically Edinburgh, during like summer holidays, or if I was lucky, Christmas vacation. And so it's a city that has a really special place in my heart, hence the trip up. So I just wanted to be able to, whenever I felt the need to be back in Edinburgh without physically being able to go to Edinburgh, I would just pick up this baby and be re-immersed in the beautiful, like, dark sandstone buildings and the artsy vibe and the really steep hills. That's what I wanted, so that's why it came home with me. The next book is What You're Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama, translated by Alison Watts. I'm Googling that because I don't think I pronounced that anywhere near correctly.
Michiko Aoyama.
I feel like that's not right. Michiko Aoyama. I googled it and I think Google let me down. Feel free to let me know. But anyways, What You're Looking For Is in the Library. My Goodreads, I just finished The Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. Loved it, devoured it. Truly what I needed to heal my heart and soul in a time that my heart and soul needed healing. And then on Goodreads, it said, if you liked that, you would like this. It's got books, and it's Japanese translated fiction, so I don't know if that's the two main factors that were like, this book is like this book, but we'll see. It's got books, it's got a cat, it's got a library, it's got little succulent for the plant girlies. There does tend to be more logic in my mind when I'm reaching for these books. I'll watch like a book YouTuber or like Goodreads reviews or something. I'll screenshot it and have them on my phone, and I kind of forget the reasons why I liked it, but I look at the picture I took and I'll be like, I really wanted to read this one. Someone that I admire recommended this, so I'm buying it. And so that's what happened here, and with most of the other things, so. The Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox by Maggie O'Farrell. I haven't really heard much about this book, but it's by Maggie O'Farrell, who has been shortlisted, longlisted, ? For the Booker Prize, so she's not really like an underground author, if you know what I mean. But anyways, my mom said, hey Alexandra, I like crime and mystery, but they have to be cozy. Can you find me a book like that? And I was like, I'll try. That's not necessarily my niche, and you've already read the books that I would recommend, like Agatha Raisin and anything Agatha Christie. So I Googled, and Google said this book. And my mom was like, I don't know, that doesn't really seem my vibe. But I said, Mom, it's set in Edinburgh in the 1930s. There's a girl called Esme. Esme is a feminist. She's outspoken, unconventional, and embarrasses people, her family, in polite society. And I was like, sold, my kind of woman. Her great niece from a psychiatric unit, about to be released, gets a letter from Esme. And it's like, where is Esme? Esme is in the psychiatric unit, I think. Yes, Esme is in the psychiatric unit. Iris is not. So they're trying to figure out what happened, why she erased from the family's history. People have said it's heartbreaking, but it's also touching. Someone, Allie Smith, not just someone, Allie Smith, actually unputdownable, reminiscent of classic Daphne du Maurier. And I didn't love Rebecca, but I loved the vibes she was trying to serve. And that is purely a reflection of myself and not the fact that it's a good book, because it has stood the test of time. It's got several adaptations. People genuinely love it. It's got a pretty good score on Goodreads, so it's just me. This would maybe be up my alley. Contact you in 2 years when I finally made my way through my physical TBR and have read it. The next book and the last book in this haul, I actually have already read, and it is John Green, The Anthropocene Reviewed. I bought this book because I listened to the audiobook of it, read by John Green himself, which I highly recommend. It was a wonderful, enjoyable experience. And he basically reminisces about the time before he was an author, and when he was a writer for book reviews. And, he is saying that in so many words they would have to review a book, and then it was kind of interesting how you were supposed to summarize it with a star rating, and it's just kind of like, a picture can paint 1,000 words. And I'm painting those words for you, but now I'm just gonna give you 5 words to say what it is. That's kind of the vibe I got in my brain. I don't know if it makes sense saying it out loud to somebody who is not in here. But anyways, so he decided to do that, but about things in life, in human life, like sunsets and like Diet Dr. Pepper, the internet, academic decathlons. It's more than just an academic decathlon. He breaks these things down into the vulnerability it takes to say that you enjoy stuff in life and to actually enjoy it, even if it's cliche or makes you sound silly. And it talks about climate issues and like racism in America. And so I just highly recommend this book. It is great because, I mean, I read it, and by read it, I mean listen to it, basically in several days, but it's great because you can just pick it up. It genuinely makes you feel so happy having read it, but also more aware and a better person, and please do read it. It's worth the hype. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble about books that I picked up and trying to give you a vague synopsis, even though I don't know exactly what they're about myself because I haven't read them, bar one. So I appreciate it if you've made it to this part of the video. Like, if you want. I feel like it's kind of premature for me to say like this video. This is the first video. For me to say subscribe, it's like, whoa there, I want to see what you have to offer. Maybe it's not worth the notifications, so come back, subscribe if you want. Whatever you want to do, really. I can't make you do anything. Thanks for being a friend. Thanks for checking out the channel. I'll see you next time.